Hey guys, Redeye Gaijin here. So this episode is going to talk a little bit about eating in Japan. So there's plenty of information out there on YouTube about eating out and restaurants and how good they are. And there's no doubt about it. In terms of eating out in Japan, it's got to be up there with one of the best places in the world. And I think, in regards to the rankings of cities and things like that, Tokyo, I think, does tend to top those rankings. I would argue that the food in Kansai is more flavoursome and tastier, but that's a big bias I have, being sort of an adopted Osaka person. Anyway, so outside of eating out and just the wonderful convenience of having beautiful, fresh, healthy food, pretty much in and around every suburb. There's at least one or two restaurants, and it's really difficult to find somewhere that you just had a disgusting food experience, in my experience anyway. And that goes for when I was living in both Gunma, when I was going out in and around Tokyo, and during the long time I lived in Osaka, going to Kyoto, Nara, Kobe, and around the areas. It's always pretty safe that you'll have at least a decent tasting meal. But what do you eat when you don't go out? What do you eat when you don't eat out at restaurants? And I think that's before I sort of get into what people eat. I think it's important to note the difference in the way people do their grocery shopping or their food shopping. So actually, I'll just, because I don't really know what it's like in the US or UK or any of your other countries. Coming from Australia, we have, we tend to have quite large refrigerators, and we will do our shopping once a week, sometimes once in 2 weeks, and we will buy a lot of stock, bring it home in one big sort of shop of food and supplies, and that will last us a couple of weeks, usually just 1 week. And until we get through it, and a week later we go and buy it all again. Now, because Japan, a better way of putting it is, Japan has more of a culture of shopping, doing your grocery shopping every day or every few days. So you shop more often, and you buy things in smaller quantity. Things are sold in much smaller quantities in general in supermarkets. So you pretty much live day to day in terms of what you buy. That's for stuff you take home and eat, and that's quite a change in lifestyle for people who come from countries where you only shop once every week, if that often. because you actually have to get into a habit where, someone in the family is going and picking up groceries every night, or every couple of nights. So that's something, and I guess because of that, you don't need such a big refrigerator, because you're storing less. So that's one thing that you might have to take some time to get used to. Just the amounts of food, and how often you'll need to go and buy that. The other thing is, of course, not everything is going to be available. You won't be able to find every single ingredient, or at least not in the one supermarket, or at least not in a local supermarket. If you go into some of the bigger cities, they do tend to have a wider range of things available, and especially more imported products. And because of these factors, businesses such as Costco, which is bulk buying imported food and other goods, they're really, really popular, especially amongst the foreign community, because everything just seems huge there, and not only huge in the portion that it's sold, but also the packs, the way it's packaged. So you'd buy a package of 50 cans of drink, as opposed to just the one or whatever it may be, and each can would be 600 mils, as opposed to the 300 or 400 mils that it's usually sold in other parts of Japan. So anyway, the eating at home thing is quite different. But one point I want to make that's really, really a positive thing. In the supermarkets, there are always little sections, or sometimes huge sections, of prepared food. And I call it prepared food because I think it's different to takeaway food or takeout, in that it's very much made in the way homemade Japanese food is made. So in effect, you can actually get what is technically takeout food, but it tastes like and is as healthy as homemade food. So a lot of the time it's stuff you can buy in that very same supermarket that you could, for example, a piece of fish or chicken or something like that, which you would usually buy raw and go home and prepare it, cook it for dinner. But someone or the team inside of the kitchen, which is a part of the supermarket there, has already done this preparation for you. So all you really need to do is go home and heat it up, or go home and put it in the oven. But everything else is done for you. It's ready to go. So I guess the takeaway point from that is you can actually eat healthily by buying stuff that's already made up, but it's not, the traditional sort of greasy, KFC, Kentucky, Pizza Hut, not that type of category of takeaway food. It's healthy takeaway food, and it's so good, especially if you're single and you're you don't want to spend a lot of time cooking. You just want to eat something that won't make you feel sick. So yeah, that's what I wanted to let you guys know about today. Redeye Gaijin. Cheers.